everyone. Welcome back to episode 2 of Bad Pitch Energy. Um, we've had a very interesting week, but this is our official episode 2 where we have a lot to debrief.
Yeah.
In the meantime, y'all should follow our social media pages, click like and subscribe, and of course, ring the bell.
Turn those notifications
on. I do also want to give a special shout out to Tom for editing and running our social media pages. He's been working overtime and getting these videos and those little clips out. And I'm actually tweeting from my laptop right now because my phone, I will say Twitter is the one thing I will always dead name. I will never call it X. I will never update my phone because I still have the blue bird. I think I've shown you before. I still have the blue bird.
I'm jealous.
And so because I still have the blue bird, it's very, very broken. And I am like tweeting from my laptop.
Because you're unable to log into our new account.
Right. I'm unable to log into any accounts.
Yeah.
Besides my one private one, my OG. And I am actually like scrolling on my phone. I'm texting myself tweets I either want to respond to or to retweet. So then I go to my laptop, open up my little messaging app so I can then access it later.
That's dedication. And you have been carrying our Twitter account, I will say.
I am so little bit of Robyn lore. I actually ran a troll account way back when we were still under COVID lockdown for some anime fandoms.
I vaguely remember this being a thing. I love that.
Yes.
You were made for Twitter. And I mean that in a positive way.
I think I will. I think I kind of am. I'm nowhere near like Cutter is King funny when it comes to things like this, but I can make a joke every now and then.
That was Cutter is King mention number 2. If this is not a sign you should come on our podcast, I don't know what is. And we're not intentionally name dropping you, but I will tag you again in this episode. So maybe give us a little bit of a listen, and in the future, you consider joining us.
Yeah, we would love to have you. But anyways, let's get to our drink of the week.
Yes.
Tom and I are drinking pineapple jalapeno margaritas.
Yes. Cheers.
Mine is still pink because I want to keep with our pink theme.
Mm-hmm.
But
a nice little spicy drink after what was pretty spicy week in the MLB offseason.
A very spicy week. We've tried censoring me, but
it'll never happen.
Clearly my intrusive thoughts.
They always win. They always win. But the proverbial hot stove, which was ice cold all winter long, really heated up this week. We went from sitting here a week ago, recording our first episode, waiting for the big names like Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, to an extent, Ranger Suarez, if you can consider him a big name. Probably on the pitching front, he was the biggest name. Maybe not named front.
Like, it's been kind of weird that the pitching front has been very quiet. Yeah. Oh, I can't say. Well, we have had some smaller names signed.
Smaller names. I think really now we're in an era in baseball where, yes, we see all these offensive players getting absurd overpays. And teams have been historically burned by bad pitching contracts. Right. And so they're hesitant to give Framber Valdez, who, is a tried and true major league pitcher, a long-term deal, because the likelihood of him living up to the expectations of a 6-year deal in year 3 are not strong, just based on history. We've seen great pitchers like Jacob deGrom just break down from injury after having absolute dominant success. And so pitchers are definitely different than hitters because we're offensive players, because you think about, a left fielder or a right fielder, their bat is going to outlive their defensive abilities. So what can you do? You can move them to first base. You can move them to DH. And so those contracts tend to age a little bit better than we look at Lance McCullers. What happened? That poor guy.
I mean, unless you're Anthony Rendon. Unless you're Anthony Rendon, I feel like in general.
Anthony Rendon, that is criminal in my mind. If I am the owner,
if I'm the Angels, I would be taking him to court.
I would be taking him to court, and not buying out the remainder of his contract. If you're going to screw me over and essentially not give any effort after signing a mega deal with my team after you won the World Series with the Washington Nationals, and you essentially decide you're just not going to play baseball.
Basically.
And then you come, and I know there's reasons, and it's financially advantageous on the Angels' part, already in a bad contract, to just buy it out and move on with your life. And I think there's some like payroll implications that won't count towards the luxury tax for them. Not that they're super close, but it is wild to me to see. I think that is probably the biggest downfall of any player that I've ever seen.
I mean, there have been some tweets lately that are saying Kyle Tucker may have an Anthony Rendon contract.
So let's talk about that. Great segue, Robyn, into what was an absolute stunner of a move that we covered on our little bonus episode on Thursday,
Right.
which was Kyle Tucker signing with the Dodgers.
I mean, I have on our little outline we like to follow along. Kyle Tucker, you Klarna bitch.
And you know what? Good for Kyle Tucker. It's not his fault that the Dodgers use Klarna to check out. And it's not his
I mean,
fault.
it's not. I mean, what can we say? The Dodgers will be paying paychecks until 2070, right?
Yes, but here's what I also wonder. Will they? Will they?
I mean,
And I wonder that because they're making all these moves right now. Will they own the team in 2070? Do they really care? And is that something that I wonder? They have massively increased the value of the Dodgers franchise since they bought the team
mhm.
in 2013, 2014, I believe. And so I wonder if they just look at this as the cost of doing business. They're just still increasing the value of their franchise by buying pretty much any single player that will go there.
Mhm.
And then when they sell the team, inevitably in 30 years, they're still paying these backloaded deals. They might still view this as being worth it from a financial standpoint because it will have paid off in the interim. The problem is they shouldn't be allowed to. I
Right,
think that's the
and
biggest
I
thing.
think the whole all of baseball is suffering because of it. Like, if one move has pissed off all 29 other teams,
Hmm.
I'm not even mad at the Yankees anymore. We have a good
Yeah,
rivalry with the Yankees.
yeah.
I don't care about the Yankees. If, like, you have united me with the fans of 29 other
Mm,
teams, I think that's a sign that something's very broken. Like, you have
yes.
Jeff Passan on a podcast even, like, saying, like, fans are justified
Yep.
in why they're upset right now because this does feel like the Dodgers are just taking over and ruining baseball.
Yes. Yeah. It sure does. And I think, you know, we have another year of this happening kind of without intervention from MLB. It's just what does the future look like?
Right.
Does the future look like that you can only defer 20% of your contracts or 20% of any given contract? The problem is the damage is done. The
Right.
damage is done to baseball. You now have really two sides of this argument. You have Dodgers fans, presumably,
Mhm.
and I can't actually say that every single Dodgers fan is like all for this. Why would you not be? Your team is,
You have a
pro-
super team.
it's an automatic World Series appearance more than likely, barring anything going wrong.
Mhm.
And then you have the camp of we need a salary cap, we need to not allow deferrals, and then you have at least half of the league with the smaller to mid market
Right.
teams who are saying, crying for the salary cap, but but don't put a salary floor into place because like we shouldn't be required to spend X amount of money. You can't have it both ways. There has got to be, and I don't even know who this person
Mhm.
is when they're renegotiating the CBA next offseason, next winter,
Mhm.
that will be able to bring the two factions of the high spending teams like the Dodgers, like the Jays, like the Mets, sometimes like the Yankees, and then the smaller, the cheap spenders, the
Mhm.
Marlins, the Pirates, to an extent, the Chicago White Sox, the teams that don't spend money, and be able to get them to walk out of that room alongside the players union, who also has to ratify a new CBA, to say, okay, we are finally going to have some sort of competitive balance in Major League
Mhm.
Baseball. Based on everything we've heard from player representatives who are, in the union and speak on behalf of the players, owners. I don't see that happen.
Mm.
Now, maybe eventually we're halfway through the year, half of the season is gone, and players and also owners are getting a little bit nervous, like, ooh, we're not filling seats, we're not making revenue, we're not getting TV revenue, we're not getting concession revenue. Maybe that will help, but it's I think to say it won't be a painful road is naive.
Right. And I think MLB, you have to stop gaslighting us, and you have to, stop saying the argument that what the Dodgers are doing is good for baseball because it's not. And I hate it when Dodgers fans goes, "Well, your team can buy." Like, no, we can't. The Dodgers just literally have so much more money than every other team. Like they earn 300 million dollars more every year than every other team because of an exclusive TV deal.
Hmm.
Um, you have 1 year of Kyle Tucker is equivalent to, like, basically the entire, Miami Marlins
Hmm.
salary payroll.
Yeah.
You have more than $2 billion actually on the Dodgers payroll right now, and most of that is through deferrals,
Yep.
which is why we're asking for changes to the deferral system. But at the same time, it's like you have this team that just literally just has so much more money than everyone else, and they're able to essentially cherry pick an entire lineup of stars from other teams, and some teams already, like the Marlins, um, are are basically like farm systems at this point
Hmm.
to develop these star players that
Yeah.
will then play on a big market team. And we saw with what happened to Kyle Tucker, he was basically using both the Mets and the Blue Jays to
Hmm.
drive up his uh what's it called? His contract.
Hmm.
And so you can't even say other teams aren't spending.
Right.
They're trying to, but if the players themselves are would rather choose an easy World Series appearance less ring, then like clearly something
Yeah.
needs to change.
Yeah. I saw something online that was like, let's appreciate Juan Soto for last offseason, choosing the Mets, number
Right.
one, truly dysfunctional
Right.
franchise, but um and ultimately ended up offering him the world. But
Right.
there was some Dodgers interest there, and
Right.
he would have had a World Series ring right
You
now.
would.
Well, he would have had a second. He did earn his first one with the Nationals. But I mean, that is, I think, going to be, we're going to have a really exciting year ahead.
Mhm.
2026 season, I think both of our personal teams are going to be, well, I'm not going to lump you in with Mets fans, but like my two teams will hopefully be competitive. The Astros will be
I mean, I
competitive.
think both of my teams will be competitive
That's
too.
true. The J,
The
yes, they will
Jays
be.
and the
They will.
Astros. More
But
Astros than Jays. That's just more of like
also, yeah,
they're kinda like my cousin team, you
yes,
know,
and I
because
love that. I love that.
they do have a good number of former Astros
They
players.
do. Yeah, they do. And so I think we're going to have a fun season, but it's going to be overshadowed by this lingering, looming lockout. And it's going to
Right.
be overshadowed by, you're entering the playoffs. I would, assume that the Dodgers will probably have the best record in baseball next year.
Mhm.
I would assume that they're going to be a lock to make it to at least the NLCS
Mhm.
and likely the World Series. And it's just not great for baseball. Like you mentioned
Mm-mm.
last week, I think the spirit of baseball is that we have these Cinderella teams that come out of nowhere.
Mhm.
You had earlier this season, the Sacramento A's
Right.
playing good baseball. You
Right.
had,
They have a young squad.
yeah. So I
They're very
mean,
exciting to watch.
that's fun. Like I remember a couple years ago when the Marlins actually made the wild card. Like
Mhm.
that was fun to
Mhm.
see. And they had a fire sale during their trade deadline in July.
Mhm.
So they had gotten rid of all of the few stars that they had. And that team then made a sprint to the playoffs. And yes, they got eliminated in the first round of the wild card, but it was fun to see
Mhm.
this like team of underdogs. And I think more so than any sport, baseball has always been where we have so many underdog players,
Mhm.
so many underdog teams, and that along with seeing good baseball be
Right.
played and rooting for, our top players and our teams, just the underdog aspect of it all has been a lot of fun.
Right.
And I think this really does take, at least on the National League side, the spark out of it.
Right. And, people are always like, "Well, the World Series last year was, like was it the most watched World Series?"
It
It
I
was.
think it was,
It was,
yes.
but, like,
Yeah.
the reason was because people enjoyed rooting against the Dodgers because they saw this team of, like, young, scrappy players
Mhm.
who loved playing baseball and were playing good baseball.
Yep.
I
Yep.
do I also think maybe other people will disagree, but I do think the better team lost last year because
Yes.
they were like, the Dodgers got very lucky,
Mhm. Mhm.
and, that's why we watched because we wanted to see David take down the Goliath.
And they came so
They
close.
came so close.
They came so close. That was and just one final note on the the most recent World Series. You and I were watching
Mhm,
that game at a local bar here in
mhm.
Houston, and we, befriended
Yes.
some Canadians
Yes.
that were visiting for some reason, chose to visit Houston that weekend. We later learned it was for a football game.
Mhm.
Um, they were Denver
They're
Broncos
different
fans, which
Broncos
was, like,
fans.
sort of left field,
Was not off field, but I apparently found out because we really don't know geography. That's actually the closest, football team to them.
which is so odd,
Yeah.
which is so odd. And so they were super into it. They were, living and dying by every pitch as you would when your team
Right,
is in the World Series.
right.
And it was so heartbreaking to see the highs of we have got this in the bag, and then the low of we just blew the game with game six and then
Blue
game
Game
seven
7.
to the Dodgers.
Yeah,
Man, did that feel bad. I mean,
right,
I've been on the losing side of not many World Series, but rough games.
right,
And that was so tough to see because it is no guarantee you get back to
right,
the World
right,
Series. The likelihood of you getting back to the World Series, unless you're the Los Angeles Dodgers now,
right,
is not very strong. And so to see the Jays, who have just been for years and years and years trying to get to this point, uh, just have it. And again, they lost the
right,
game.
right,
They lost it for themselves. But you are right to say that they were at that point the better team for sure.
right,
Yeah.
right. But yeah,
Tough.
but, another reason why we hate the Dodgers, just to let y'all know that this is not unwarranted hate. One of the Dodgers owners actually profits from immigration detention centers. So Mark Walters, the controlling owner
Hmm.
of our
Hmm.
Los Angeles Dodgers and CEO of Guggenheim Partners, has financial ties to immigration detention facilities and invests in private prisons.
Hmm.
And I'm sure we've all been following along with the news lately
Mhm.
and knowing what's
Mhm.
happening in Minnesota, especially.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, that's also why we can't
The hate
really.
is so deserved.
The hate is very justified.
The hate is very justified. So I have a soft spot for some weird reason for
Mhm.
Magic Johnson, who is like
Yeah.
sort of the public
Yes.
ownership face.
Yes.
But man, the rest of those guys, they're not good
They're not good
guys. They're
guys.
not good guys.
No, like, I mean, it's always eat the rich, in this household, but, I do think if you're gonna be a billionaire, if you can at least be a billionaire that, um, pays my baseball players.
Well, and here's the thing. I hate standing for a billionaire,
Right.
but if I'm going to stand for a billionaire, it's going to be Stephen Cohen,
Mm,
owner of owner of the New York Mets. Did you know he tried to buy the Dodgers?
I did not.
After the Frank McCourt divorce debacle,
Mhm.
he was one of the leading bidders for the Dodgers, and he tried very, very hard to buy that team. Ultimately, did not get the bid. And then he played the long game, and he finally owns his team, the
Right.
team that he roots for, the New York Mets.
I mean, he's gonna get his casino next year
He's
too,
going to
right?
get his well. And I think a good segue into what have the Mets done, Rob?
Signed a shit ton of infielders, but one infielder in particular that's been very exciting.
Yes, they have signed Bo Bichette yesterday. Probably, I didn't see it coming. I
I don't think
think
any of us did.
when they lost out on Kyle
Mhm.
Tucker and reportedly came within $20 million
Right.
overall, so $5 million a year short of signing
Mhm.
Kyle Tucker. And I'm so glad that they didn't because I really just feel so very strongly
Worth 60 million a
he's
year.
not worth it.
I
So
mean, we keep saying this. This man is not worth 60 million a year.
it's not. And I'll, Robyn and I are known to beat a dead horse, but I'll stop saying it after this episode. But Kyle Tucker is not worth that. And that's not even a hot take. I don't think
Right.
it is.
Right, which is why I would like people are like, maybe he's an Anthony Rendon contract because
Right.
he also is so
Right.
disassociated. I'm sorry, my English is not working. Like at games, he's just there.
Well, and I will say that was
He doesn't hustle.
He doesn't hustle, and I think when he was on the Astros, of course, we were rooting for him, and we were sad to see him be traded.
Right.
But I never got the vibe that he was like all in.
Yeah.
Like he was like living and dying with every pitch, the same way like Carlos Correa or
Right.
Jose Altuve is.
Right.
The same way on the Mets. It always bothered me to see Pete Alonso like, oh, I just struck out with the bases loaded again. Let me just go back to the dugout, put on my glove, and go play first. Like, throw your bat, dude. And this goes back to your,
I want to be just the passion.
Where's the passion? So I agree on the Kyle Tucker front. Someone who does have passion, though, is Bo Bichette.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I am pleasantly surprised and really, really excited that he's on the Mets. Now,
yes.
Where does he fit is a question because we've got a plethora of infielders.
Y'all have way too many infielders.
And we still only have one outfielder. And last I checked, Juan Soto cannot play the entire span of the outfield.
I mean, he's a great hitter. Phenomenal bat. But that man's defense.
Average at best. And so it seems right now. So number one, Mets signed Bo Bichette to a short-term contract.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Did you see this, Robyn, online about the $5 million opt-out?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically what that means is, from what I've read, is that if he chooses not to opt out, he'll make another $5 million.
That is initially what I had heard and seen as well. This morning, then, I saw something different, which is absurd if it's true. Here's what I heard.
What?
So apparently, if he opts out, he then gets handed a $5 million check by the New York Mets.
Oh, so there's
Thank you for leaving. Here's $5 million on the way out.
Oh.
Weird.
Oh. Weird. I really thought it meant like you get an extra $5 million.
And so did I, because Juan Soto has that in his deal. I don't know the exact dollar amounts, but essentially he has opt-outs after.
So why would you not opt out?
I think year 3 or year 5. And the Mets can buy out his opt-out for like maybe an additional $10 million a year or something like that. Right. From Bo Bichette's standpoint, I'm going to opt out even if I'm going to sign an equal deal with you because you're going to give me $5 million to exercise this clause in my contract that was already favorable to me. And so weird on that. I mean, you got to get the deal done. You got to do what you got to do. But I think the most satisfying piece of this signing on the Mets side was...
I remember texting you this.
was, of course, excited to have a young, good clubhouse guy, good hitter. But the fact that the Phillies were chasing this man...
Yes. He was about to sign... Apparently, the story is he was actually about to sign a 7-year contract with the Phillies.
Yep.
But the Mets reached out back one more time. And they got him.
And in this margarita right now are Phillies tears because...
salty.
That's why, yes. To say that Philadelphia is the worst sports city in America doesn't even do it justice. They are the worst fans in the world. I remember you could
be a little biased, though, just a little bit.
I am. I will admit that I'm a little bit biased. But I was maybe 8 years old. And I remember my dad took my brother and I to Citizens Bank Park for a Mets Phillies game. It was my first away game as a Mets fan. I was so excited. And I vividly remember like Phillies fans trying to start a fight with me, like the child. The child. Like they are just some of the worst fans in America. I say that objectively. And I will say, well, and then maybe not objective, but I get on Mets fans all the time. Mets fans are the biggest crybabies. But Phillies fans, they are the worst. Ask Mattress Mac, who I can't. The allure of Mattress Mac has worn off ever since. It's just like vile politics that come out. But Mattress Matt, I remember, got into an altercation
He
during the
did. You are
2022
right. We did play the Phillies
World
in the World
Series,
Series,
and
and he got into an altercation with them.
he's like, fuck you, you had to be restrained." The video, and I'll link it in
He
our
is
show
like
notes. Brilliant,
he is like
brilliant.
this very old man as well, and y'all are gonna start a fight with
Yeah,
him.
mhm.
My goodness.
But what do you think, Robyn, from like, how are you thinking from a Toronto Blue Jays standpoint now that Bo Bichette is no longer on that team?
So again, I don't have ties to the Blue Jays like I'm sure a lot of other people do. They were just my favorite team,
Mhm.
um, this past, postseason.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I think they're sad. They're definitely sad,
Yeah.
because a lot of them, they've seen him come up through the minors with,
Sure.
homegrown player, played with Vladdy since they both started. So, I mean, I think Vladdy said it where, like, they're still close,
Yeah.
but, you gotta look out for number 1 sometimes. And I think a lot of Blue Jays fans are also expecting it because of who else they've signed this
Mhm.
offseason, including, I wanna say his name's Okamoto.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
another star Japanese player to play
Yep.
first base. So they're very okay
Yeah.
in the infield.
They are. They're still an extremely solid team
Mhm.
and probably the American League favorites
I
without
think they
him.
are the American League favorites. They with
Yeah.
or without Boba.
And that the hard part though, and to your point of like another homegrown player
Yeah.
leaving his team, it's becoming increasingly rare
Mhm.
that a true homegrown superstar stays with his team. I think the most recent example, probably Aaron Judge, who, homegrown Yankee, Yankees were able to
Right.
retain him. Jose Altuve was thankfully able to do that, but it is so rare. I mean, we look at the Astros, Kyle Springer, Carlos Correa,
George.
Kyle Tucker, George Springer, Carlos Correa.
We've been talking about Tucker too much.
Yes,
Like his
too
name
much. I
piles
need to
on our head.
delete him from my brain. But I mean, you look at their crop of stars, and like
Right.
in large part, and now Fromber as well, like being shown the exit door, and so it's been tough. I mean, the Mets even we just lost Pete Alonso, who I never thought would not be on the Mets.
Right.
So it's it's tough to see that the finances or
Mhm.
the market of baseball doesn't lend itself to homegrown players really
Mhm.
staying with their teams anymore. And again, I think that is another thing that will probably come up in the CBA is like how do we bring parity to the league to ensure that the Kansas City Royals can sign their superstar?
Right.
And I don't know the answer to that right
Right. I mean, but also if you wanna talk about homegrown players, we can talk about another homegrown player who got fucked over
now.
by their team, Rafael Devers.
Ooh, ooh.
Oof. Because this is because so in reference to our, emergency pod, w
Mhm.
we did mention that literally minutes after we finished recording
Yeah.
our first pod episode, Alex Bregman signed with the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, he did.
Bregman is another homegrown Astros player
Yes.
who, was a free agent for the 2025 season,
Yeah.
and I think we gave him a very generous contract.
Yeah, the
The
offer was good.
Astros, they offered him a very generous long-term
Yes,
contract,
they did.
and
Yes,
he's
they did.
all like, "Oh, I'll come back to Houston. I love Houston," but he never signed, and I reached a point where, like, I'm like, "This man doesn't wanna come back."
Right.
I
Right.
think every fan had, like, a tiny, tiny ounce of hope that maybe he will, but then he signed with the Red Sox.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing is giving some backstory for, again, our friends who don't really follow baseball
Mhm.
because, they have been asking about some drama. Um, uh, the Red Sox at that time already had a third baseman,
Yeah.
and he is their best hitter.
Yeah.
They're probably um, not the best third baseman
No.
defensively, not
No.
great defensively, but he was an incredible hitter.
Yes, he
He
was.
was on their 2018 World Series team,
Mhm.
and they didn't tell him that, "Hey, we signed another third baseman." So now you have a team with 2 people playing third base, and they told Rafi, "Hey, you're just gonna be a hitter now. You'll just be our
Mhm.
designated hitter."
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back to what you talked about last time about with Edwin Diaz as well, like,
Yes.
I think as a player, you kinda wanna be, like, notified, like, "Hey, we're planning on doing this."
Even if it's inevitable and gonna happen, just like a sign of respect of like, "Hey, we're gonna do this thing and we're gonna make it work for you, we promise, but we're just giving you a heads up."
Right. No heads up, they're like, "You're playing." "You're just hitting now. We don't want your glove."
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So he doesn't use his glove. Tristan Casas, their first baseman, gets injured, and now they're like, "Hey, Rafi, go play first base."
Yeah.
And of course, Rafi's going to be like pissed because he's like, "You told me you didn't want my glove, but now you want me to play a defensive position," which I think some of it got lost in translation. And
Mhm.
because the media always loves to sensationalize things,
Mhm.
um, he I think he said, like, it'll take him time to get used to another position, having not had to play defense all season so far. So a lot of people took that to mean, like, as him being, um, non-cooperative,
Mhm.
not a team player.
Yeah.
And then you see this massive trade happen, like, mid-season
Yeah. Yeah.
last year, where he gets traded to the Giants for a bag of chips.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much
Pretty
because,
much.
like, Giants gave him a couple prospects,
None of
none of
those
them
prospects panned out.
they're all still in the minors. Um, Not great, like, literally a bag of chips just to dump his contract.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. So Alex Bregman is your third baseman.
Okay.
Alex Bregman decides to opt out.
Yeah, and the
Right.
Red Sox knew he would.
And they knew he would.
They knew he would.
And instead of trying to I can't say because again, we're not in the rooms where these conversations are happening.
They should be.
Give us the invite.
Come on.
Send it over. um, Bregman eventually signs with the Cubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Which just I hate to say
Right.
it, it just feels right.
It feels he
I mean,
yeah,
if he's not gonna be on the
right,
Astros, I don't know, for some reason that just feels right to me,
right.
but continue.
And so now you have the Red Sox, and you have no one playing third base right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all for what? Just because
1 year of Alex
1
Bregman.
year of Alex Bregman and you threw away your best hitter?
So, clearly handled incorrectly on the
Mhm.
Red Sox side. I also think that Rafael Devers handled that poorly. Be
I do too. I do. I see that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because here's the thing, they're being paid tens of millions of dollars to play a game.
Right.
And I get the social, aspect of the game and,
Right.
the management of
Mhm.
players by both the manager and the organization.
Mhm.
If you're telling me, "Hey, I actually want you to do 50% less of your job. I don't want you to field anymore, and I wanna pay you the same." I'm jumping up and down.
I
I
agree, but they didn't give him that heads up.
Well, and I think that's where they went wrong,
Right.
but then there's an injury that happens,
Y
unfortunate,
Right.
all the things. Be a team player, step up and help out your
Right.
injured player. That to me is just
Right. But
that
I
showed an
think
unwillingness on his
I
part.
do agree, I do see that, but I think at the same time, he already felt like the front office is probably out to
Mm,
get him.
fair.
Because when you see him on the Giants, you see that team player. You
Mhm.
see him practicing fielding,
Yeah.
um, balls again,
Mhm.
and he's willing to play first base if they need him on
Fair.
first base. I think it just comes down to, like, I think he just felt so disrespected. I think there's a
Mm,
cultural component too,
yeah,
probably for why he felt so
yeah.
disrespected.
So it was almost beyond repair
'Cause I
at
think it's
that
just
point.
beyond repair at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah. Talk about really mismanaging in the
Mm,
Red Sox part because I don't think any of us expected Bregman to not opt out, and we knew that his market was going to be more competitive the
right.
second time around. I still thought Boston had a decent chance to retain him after he
I did
opted out.
too. They were talking about how he was such a leader in the clubhouse for
Mhm,
all the young players coming up, but Bregman wanted a no trade clause
mhm,
because I think he
mhm.
saw what happened to Devers,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like,
Yes.
"I don't want y'all to pull that shit with me."
Devers, Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts, yeah,
Yeah, and I don't blame Bregman one bit for wanting a no trade from the Red Sox given their habit of trading away star players.
right,
They just clearly are not willing to make that commitment. So good on the Cubs for being like, "You know what? We got you, man. We
right.
got a full
They
no trade."
no trade because Bregman does have kids, and I
Mhm.
think at this point he wants something long term as well because I mean, the way sports work,
Yeah.
you're always, like, on the move and wanting to have somewhere a little bit more permanent to
Not
raise a
only that,
family.
this is likely his last team.
Yeah.
Like this, he has a great career with
Mhm,
the Astros, a legacy two-time World Series
mhm.
champion that he will always have a,
Right,
a spot here in Astros
right.
history. and then he has this little blip with the Red Sox,
Right.
and now I think this is his third and final team where he can. I'm sure he's hoping that he can
Mhm.
go out and win a World Series with the Chicago Cubs,
Mhm.
and so good for him for advocating for
Right.
himself. Good for Scott Boras, super
Right.
agent, once again
Right.
for pulling this off. But I think just a super interesting week in terms of we entered the week with the 3 to
Mhm.
4 top remaining players unsigned,
Right.
and just like that, we saw movement, and now we're in a place where we only have a couple of free agents remaining,
Right.
or at least a couple of really
Right.
star
Right.
franchise changing free agents.
I mean, one of them is Framber. Where do
The
you think he'll end
Yankees
up?
have checked in.
I mean,
The
what
Yankees have checked in.
they've checked in. So have the Mets. They've all checked in.
I don't want. Okay, let me say it again. Let me put this into the universe because it worked the first time with Tucker. I do not want the New York Mets to sign from Morales. I would love the Yankees to
Mhm.
because it'll just be a hot mess, and so I'm here for it.
I'm here for it,
But
especially with how bad Volpe plays.
yes, well, but he will, and I feel bad that this
Right.
is the case, but
Right.
he will crumble under the pressure that is playing in New York,
Yeah.
and it is. It's just a little concerning that we have a guy who has shown that he's not the best clubhouse presence, wanting this, 5, 6, 7 year deal.
I mean, he might get it
He's going to get it
because
from somebody.
no, because, like, especially with how large these contracts have been,
Yeah.
Dylan Cease, Ranger Suarez,
Mhm.
I think he will get that massive contract
Yeah.
he's looking for.
Yeah. And I think Bellinger will too.
I think Belger will too. I think he's going to end up with either a New York team.
I
That's
agree.
the feeling I'm getting.
I don't think he will be leaving New York City. The
Mm-mm.
question is, will he be leaving the Bronx to go to Queens? I am now pro Bellinger
I
on the
mean, you
Mets.
have to be.
I look at this team and I say, you know what? Yeah, it sucks we lost Nemo
Mm,
Alonso. Um, but I actually now am in the place where if you can cap an off season with, yes, we've got Bo Bichette,
mhm,
we signed Bellinger to play another outfield position, and you sign 1 or 2 mid-tier starting pitchers, that is an ideal offseason from a Mets standpoint.
mhm,
The question is Bellinger going to want the length in terms of a 7 year deal? Or is he going to want, which would Mets would prefer, a short term, higher annual salary deal like Bobichek got,
right.
with likely opt outs? And I think a lot of players are looking at next offseason, and there's risk in this though, but they're looking at next offseason and saying the free agent class is awful. There are not a lot of good free agents next
Mhm,
year. So if I'm Bo Bichette, I am now going from probably being the fourth best offensive player during this current offseason to number one next
mhm,
offseason. And so I think maybe Bellinger has the same thought. But if I am the Mets, I am going full force ahead to sign Bellinger, hopefully on a lower term. But again, you're going to be paying him probably $40 million a year to get him to go on a 3 to 4 year deal. And so I am all for it. And again, there's something delicious
right. About taking
in
him from this.
Yankees tears because last offseason, Robin, I was so well hydrated because those Yankees tears were just flowing. They were flowing during the entire 25 season because it was, living rent free in their heads.
They were falling apart.
Rent free. And
Yankees were
so
falling apart.
listen, Yankees fans, I have been there. I know your only major signing has been Paul Blackburn, former Met, by the way. Um, I have been there where you are left just thirsty for moves.
Mhm.
And so I just think there's some joy that would come out of
We're
getting
taking
Cody Bellinger
another.
outside of his talents as a
Mhm.
baseball player that I really, 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 we'll
That'd be
see.
fun. Yeah,
We'll
we'll
see.
see. We will see. I mean, there's another, I think, free agent that's on the market right now, Eugenio Suarez, because
Mm-hmm.
The Red Sox are missing a third baseman,
Yep.
and there have been some trade talks
Yep.
with the Astros about getting Isaac Paredes. And this is just me
Yes.
thinking it's really funny that Paredes again is on the table
Mhm.
as being another
I
Bregman
know.
replacement.
I know.
There's
Yeah.
something so funny about that.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't think we should ever trade Isak.
No.
That should
No.
never happen.
Nope.
I don't care what we get in return. I know people are talking about maybe getting Brian Bello, maybe getting Jared Duran. I
Mhm.
don't want them.
Mhm.
Would rather keep Paredes.
I think ultimately, and it's kind of funny how
Mhm.
this works out. The Red Sox will either trade with the Astros or the Mets to solve their third base
Right.
situation, whether that's Paredes, whether that's Brett Beatty
Mhm.
or Mark Santos or some combination of that.
Or maybe they sign Eugenio Suarez.
I'd be surprised if they do, but they might. But I agree that I did not like seeing that rumor about the Astros being kind of a little bit down the road in trade talks with
I'd
the Red
rather we get rid
Sox.
of Christian Walker.
Yeah,
Get rid
no,
of Christian Walker.
no, that's a problem because we
No
had
one
see
wants him.
nobody wants him. Now remember, the likely destination for Christian Walker was going to be
The Mets.
the Mets. That is no longer a possibility. And so if I'm the Astros, I just say, you know what? I'm going to make this logjam work.
Right.
I'm going to get creative with the DH
Mhm.
position. Let's also pour one out for Victor Carantini.
Poor.
Man,
Uh,
all our guys are just like
I knew
dropping
that was
like
gonna
flies.
happen,
It was
but
inevitable. And you know what? Good guy, solid player.
mhm.
I feel like he was really just stood in the gap last
Yeah.
season for the Astros.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that he got for a backup catcher to get a multi-year deal
Yeah.
is good. And
Yeah.
so good for him, good for his family. God, a lot
Damn.
of these Astros players
They're just walking away.
who we really are, they're likable guys. The
Yeah.
Astros, I hate to say it to all the folks out there, they're a likable team.
They're a very likable team. Let 2017 go. That happened years
Can we
ago.
can we say I think the tide is shifting on that?
Yeah.
Because now that we've got listen, I don't want to hear about 2017 because Kyle Tucker just signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That was a star Astros player who, wasn't involved in that, but it now signed with the Dodgers. So clearly, like, the Astros trash isn't so bad, because you just gave him one of the richest contracts in the history of baseball. And so let 2017 go. I am very curious to see where the rest of this offseason goes, and I'm sure we'll be monitoring it. But I know we've got our first power rankings of the 2026 season.
We did. Okay, so to be fair, it was released January 8th before this past week's signings happened. But I look at this list and I'm like, I don't I don't like it.
Mm,
I don't because I don't agree with it.
okay.
Okay, the first two are like yeah, okay. Dodgers are one.
Hmm.
It's a given.
Yep.
Blue Jays are two.
Okay.
I don't understand why Mariners are ranked third.
Mm,
I understand Cal Raleigh had a phenomenal season last year. I mean, you have some breakout pitchers.
big dumper.
Um, but I mean, I just don't see why they're ranked third. Um,
I feel like there is a pretty significant drop off though in talent from Dodgers, Jays,
right,
and I feel like three could have been flexed in multiple ways.
right,
On an emotional level, as a Astros
right,
supporter, don't love that it's the Mariners, but I can sort
right,
of see where they end up there.
right. Number four are the Phillies. Five of the
Sure.
Red Sox. Six of the Brewers. I
Yeah.
feel like the Brewers are always sneaks because they
They
do
are.
have a
They
talented
are.
squad.
Yep.
They just
Yep.
always fall apart once October
Yeah.
hits.
They are unclutched.
The Yankees are seven.
Mhm.
That's another one I'm like, I don't think the Yankees should be on this list anymore. I think the Yankees are on this list because historically they've been
Legacy.
good. They're a
Yeah.
legacy team.
Yep.
However, I think I think we are seeing I mean, this is the Yankees' driest
Mhm.
spell
Yeah.
in a long time.
Yep.
They just don't they just aren't playing at the level that we may historically remember them playing
Correct.
at.
Absolutely.
Mets are 8, which
Should
is
not
kind of
be.
surprising
They shouldn't even be in the top
because
10.
at the time this was
Yeah.
released, they
No Bichette.
no Bichette just lost a bunch of players.
How could you be number 8 and not have a left fielder and center fielder? How?
Yeah,
And no ace.
no ace. That's true. Which is why Framber's in talks for your team.
Mhm.
Um, Number 9, the Orioles. The Orioles have been pretty active
I
this
could see that. They
offseason.
should. I think the Orioles should actually be around 6 or 7, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And then the Cubs are 10. So,
Also
no,
respectable, I can see
also
that.
respectable, but
Yeah,
no Astros
yeah.
because I think a lot of pundits are because we missed out on the postseason
Mhm.
in the 25 season. I
Yeah,
think a lot of people are like, "Oh, the Astros dynasty is over."
yeah.
I think they forget we were very, very, very injured
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
I think I don't remember who did the calculations, but we had a lost 18.64.
Mhm.
And
And they
so
were still in it till
and they were
the
still
very
in it
end.
to the very last game. So I think when you now have a fully healthy Astro squad, as
Mhm.
well as adding some much needed pitching and hopefully a couple more bats coming our way,
Yeah.
I feel like we are kind of being underestimated right now.
So on the AL side, I agree. I think not seeing the Astros here feels weird, but
Right.
also
But like I understand where they're
it's a bit
coming
of a knock.
from.
I also think on the NL side, I'm surprised not to see the Padres come in at maybe like a sneaky 9 or
The
10.
Padres have been having a very rough
Now,
off season.
I know they, of course, lost Dylan Cease. They lost. They're about to lose, I think, Suarez as well. But I still think the Padres, and this kind of negates everything we've said about the Dodgers, but they almost snuck up on the Dodgers in the playoffs last year,
They did.
and they almost knocked them out.
They almost did.
And so
I think they just they don't quite have
they haven't been able to get over the hump ever.
they're missing something.
Yeah,
But you don't see their team chasing that something.
correct, correct. Now we used to, but they spent, I would say, a little bit recklessly for a few years, and I think
Mhm.
now they did unfortunately have their owner pass away, and so
Mhm.
I think that is complicating the future of that team long term.
Mhm.
But they're just a very thorny team
Mhm.
that I I think we could be sitting here in a couple of months and seeing them
Mhm.
in the 5 to 10 range on MLB's power rank. It is that time of the week where we take a look and we chat through what is our wild pitch of the week. Robyn, I will let you have the first pitch.
All right. So my first pitch is directed to my fellow Asians. I know we've been kind of all over social media lately with our
Mhm.
little H Mart drama. So this is, I feel, kind of in the veins of that. Don't be a bandwagon Dodgers fan just because they have Asian players.
Mm,
I was at a party over Thanksgiving and we were talking about baseball because I didn't know these people. And I mean, when you don't know people, you talk about sports, right? And they're like, I feel like I should be a Dodgers fan just because they have so many Asian players. No, stop, pause. Don't just support a team just because they have Asian players. I understand that, like, patriotism or whatever, that um, we like to, um, that identity politics or whatever. And I hear you, I see you, but don't just support a team and just because they have another Asian player. There are other Asian players throughout the league. Don't just support the biggest team.
yeah.
Let's see, like we just signed Tatsuya Mai, so we now have a Japanese player.
Mhm.
The Angels have Yusei Kikuchi.
Mhm.
The Giants have Junguli. Um, the Mets have Kodai Senga. Like, and Jonah Tong.
Yeah.
So you have Asian players across the league.
Yeah.
And if you really want to get to sports and to support your fellow Asians, like there are so many other teams that you can also like support if
Mhm.
that's your main reason for supporting a team. Because at the end of the day, like the Dodgers, I think this is just me being bitter, but like the Dodgers don't need your bandwagonness because
Yeah.
all their fans are bandwagon fans. Let's be real.
Mhm. I agree.
I think there's so many because this goes back to there's so many small market teams who could use more people buying tickets to go to their games or buying their merch. And let's show love to some other Asian players too, just not the big one, the one big one.
I agree. There's more than just that one man. And then I do think we need to put an embargo on that one man for our next episode.
We have to. We talked about him way too much.
Living a little too rent free up here.
He's living a little too rent free.
Love it.
But
No, yeah,
that's
good point.
I think that's more towards my my fellow Asians.
Fair enough. It's a good message on this episode 2 of Bad Pitch Energy.
What's yours?
My wild pitch of the week is about the other team in Los Angeles. And I've been thinking this for a while. Of course, let's just get it out of the way. We know Shohei Ohtani was an Angel at some point.
Right.
He did sign from Japan to join the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. But I think that the Angels will not make the playoffs until Mike Trout is no longer on that team. And it's unfortunate to say because
That's a hot take.
it's a hot take, but I mean, I've got how many years of evidence that support the fact that they are never going to win with that man. And I don't know if it's going to be either another buyout. The Angels are making buyouts cool again in Major League Baseball, or whether they ultimately end up trading him at some point, whether he retires early, goes into coaching, whatever it might be. I think the Angels will not win anything meaningful and make the playoffs until Mike Trout is no longer on that team. That's sad to say because before Ohtani, before Judge, there was Mike Trout, and we thought Mike Trout was going to be the second coming of, Mickey Mantle. And so the fact that historically he will probably just be a blip, not having won anything.
That's actually really sad.
It's actually really sad. And so I think that the Angels are doomed until Mike Trout is no longer playing for that team. And that's sad to say, but Mike, I think maybe if you want, you will have a great career in either broadcasting or coaching or managing, but you will not lead the Angels anywhere near the promised land. And I think the sooner you are not on that team, the faster that team can heal, renew itself, and possibly be competitive again. Because we want both teams in Los Angeles to be competitive, not just one. We don't want them to be too competitive because we don't want them giving the Astros a run for the AL West. But I think, again, we talk about balance in the league. A competitive Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim is exactly what baseball needs. And they will not achieve that until Mike Trout is out the door.
Mm-hmm.
It's my wild pitch of the week.
I think that's a very wild pitch, Tom.
Well, we tried to keep it interesting here on Bad Pitch Energy, and I think that is going to conclude episode 2 of our full weekly episode. We will be back next week for episode 3.
Unless something, again, emergency happens.
Something crazy can happen, in which case I will get Robyn online here.
Back in our PJs.
And we will be updating you or reacting to something that happened in Major League Baseball. Although I do anticipate it will be a quieter week.
I hope so.
Unless I do think we are in for one surprising trade. We're in for one. I don't know when it's going to happen.
And I hope it's not the trade that I think it is.
And I am starting to feel more confident that it will be. I think it's going to be more in the Mets realm if they do that. So we'll see.
We'll see. We shall see.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Bad Pitch Energy. Be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram at Bad Pitch Energy Pod and on Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Bad Pitch Energy.